Planted evidence. On May 2nd, 1992, the body of 30-year-old Denise Johnson was found 30 miles west of downtown Phoenix. The autopsy report declared the cause of death was asphyxiation due to strangulation. Forensic scientists hoped to find clues on her body that would help them identify a suspect. Unfortunately, no semen, blood, saliva, or hair could be found. The only known clue was a pager that was found a few feet from Denise's body. A pager is a small electronic device that shows the phone number of the person trying to contact you on the screen. The pager belonged to Mark Bogan, a 34-year-old truck driver. He was quickly brought in for an interview. He claimed that he had been with Denise that night, but had nothing to do with the murder. He stated that Denise had stolen his wallet and pager from his truck. He had a few scratches on his face, but there weren't any skin cells found under Denise's fingernails that could link him to the crime. Without any firm evidence, Bogan was released. Homicide detective Charlie Norton returned to the crime scene a few days later, hoping to find some clues. There were Palo Verde trees in the area, and Norton noticed one tree near the road had damage on one of the branches. Norton suspected the tree had been hit by a passing car, pulled a few seed pods off the tree, and bagged them as evidence. Police impounded and searched Bogan's truck in the hope of finding anything that could link him to Denise. They were hoping to find fingerprints, blood, saliva, or clothing fibers, but came up empty. The truck was clean. The only thing they found were 2 Palo Verde pods in the bed of the truck. Coincidence? Palo Verde trees are native to the Phoenix area and could be found all over town. Was it possible to determine if those specific pods came from a tree near the crime scene? DNA fingerprinting is technology that was developed in the 1980s. It allows scientists to analyze a unique DNA pattern from a suspect to see if it matches any DNA found at a crime scene. The first time it was used in a court case was in 1986, but it had never been used in plants. Scientists had no idea if the DNA fingerprint of Palo Verde trees would be unique from tree to tree, or if individualized patterns only occurred in humans. If the Palo Verde fingerprint turned out to be unique, they could possibly place Bogan at the scene of the crime, but only if the pods found in his truck matched a tree in the area. Palo Verde trees produce seed pods in the spring following pollination. Seeds form when male pollen grains are carried over to the female flower on a neighboring tree. The seeds themselves have DNA from both the mother tree and the father tree. This is similar to a human embryo receiving half their DNA from an egg cell and half from a sperm cell. That meant that it was impossible to match the seeds to a single tree. However, the outer seed pod only contains DNA from the mother tree. Because of this, scientists could try and match the pods from Bogan's truck to a single tree near the crime scene. Tim Helentiaris, a plant geneticist at the University of Arizona, was brought in to consult. Homicide detectives supplied Helentiaris with the 2 pods from Bogan's truck, along with pods from 12 other trees. Would they all have a different DNA fingerprint? Helentiaris discovered they all had a unique profile, and the truck pods did indeed match the tree from the crime scene with the damaged branch. The district attorney wanted to be absolutely sure that all Palo Verde trees had a unique fingerprint, so he sent over an additional 100 pod samples to be tested. Sure enough, all the samples had a unique DNA fingerprint. This seemed to be enough evidence to place Bogan at the scene of the crime. But would plant DNA be admissible in court? It had never been used before. Mark Bogan was put on trial, and the judge admitted the Palo Verde DNA as evidence. Helentiaris took the stand and testified that the plant DNA fingerprint was up to 15 times more complex than those of humans, meaning his results were far more conclusive than any bodily fluids would have been. When Bogan's lawyer realized he wouldn't be able to argue with DNA evidence, he tried to say the seed pods were planted in the bed of the truck. Nonetheless, the jury convicted Bogan of first-degree murder and sentenced him to life in prison. Bogan's lawyer was later quoted as saying, "I'm trying to forget this case because I'm the only person on the planet that lost to a plant."